Hello, hello. My name is Dina Cataldo, and you've downloaded the Busy Lawyer's Quick Start Guide to Getting Back 5 hours weekly. I'm not even kidding you. You're going to get more than 5 hours if you do this work. Now, you're never going to be more excited about changing your life and changing how you look at how you construct your time as you are right now. So, I want to just take a minute to jump in here with you with the guide, and I'm going to walk you through it step by step. You're going to get one sent to your email, so don't worry about it. You'll be able to download it, you'll be able to print it out if you like. But what I want to do is actually walk you through this. So this is what you're going to get, okay? It is a 10-page guide, and this guide is going to give you not only the mechanics of how to do the step-by-step process that I do every single week, but it's also going to give you the mindset work that you need to implement it all, okay? So when you're looking at the mechanics, great, but you can always find yourself in a grind and working harder if you're just following the step by steps. What I want you to do is look at the mindset work that I'm really getting into on this so that you will implement it. I mean, that is why people hire me, is so that I can help them with the implementation, to help them with the mindset. But I'm going to walk you through this step by step too, okay? All right, so you've probably downloaded this guide because you're anxious and overwhelmed and there's just not enough time. And that's how I used to feel, okay? I'm a full-time lawyer and I also practice as a coach. And that's in addition to taking care of myself, because not only do I have all of that going on, but when I was 29, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I want to make sure that I'm taking care of myself. I want to make sure I'm not stressing out. I want to make sure that I'm looking after my health. So I incorporate a lot of self-care into my schedule. I want you to know that this is doable, but it wasn't doable 5 years ago for me. I had to incrementally learn what I'm about to share with you in this guide. So really pay attention. Like, I have distilled what I have learned over the last decade about time management and how to think about time and how to think about my calendar to make it easier on myself. And I'm sharing that with you. So I hope that you take this to heart and really use it to change everything for you. I look at my calendar as if I am 100% responsible for my results that week, that month, that year. Okay. I schedule everything each week with an eye towards what do I want to create. And if I'm looking at my calendar and I don't like it, it's on me. If I'm looking at my calendar and I'm feeling overwhelmed, that's on me. I have to look at, what am I creating with my thoughts? Why am I thinking I have to do so much? Why am I not reducing that load? Why am I scheduling back-to-back meetings on a Thursday, Friday night when I know that that is time that I need to rest and rejuvenate? So here's the foundation for what you're going to learn in this guide. It's a twist on a familiar saying that you'll probably recognize. Give a woman a meal and you have sustained her for a day. Teach a woman to garden and she can sustain herself and her family for lifetimes. I want you to make a decision right now. You can treat this training as a meal that you devour and forget, or you can create the groundwork for a flourishing garden. Neither one is wrong, but you won't see the results you want if you choose to simply devour. You just won't. Treat this training as you would a lesson in gardening. Look for the seeds I give you along the way. And as you practice what I'm teaching you in this guide, you're going to grow your proficiency and use your brain to problem solve along the way. Doing this is going to help you create a sustainable practice for yourself. And with all of that gardening metaphor going on, I'm going to tell you how I broke this training up, but I'm going to talk about more gardening. All right. So first, you're going to get the meal. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do and what not to do during your week to maximize your time. So if you're a checklist person, you're going to get that. These actions, if you implement them, they're going to get you results. But that's the problem. Most people give up the moment that it's hard, and they let our brain, let your brain just wander. And then what we do is, when we don't do what we said we were going to do on our calendar, we beat ourselves up for not doing it right. We say, oh, well, and we tell ourselves that we can't do it right now, maybe later, but later never comes. And that's why people hire me. I help them rewire their brain. But I'm also teaching you how to rewire your brain in this training in part 2. So pay really close attention to what's going on in part 2, because that is how you're going to shift your mind with a daily practice I've designed to help make your life a whole lot easier. So not only are you going to be creating more time, but everything in your life is going to become easier because you are going to have that plan, but you're also going to be able to accomplish your goals easier too. So you're going to want to set more goals because you're going to want to keep creating something in your life that's going to keep you growing. So let's unlearn everything that you've learned so far. All right, you ready? Let's go. Okay, this is part 1, the meal, how to plan your week. The first thing you want to do is get awareness of what you are doing right now. Track your time for one day. How much time are you on social media, checking your email, eating, watching Netflix, reading the news, working, questioning your decisions, gossiping with friends? Write it all down. No matter how big or small, this is going to bring how you choose to spend your time into sharp focus. The second thing to do is a Sunday weekly download. Now, I like to do this on Sunday night, but you can do this whenever you like. Write down everything you need to do for the week. This should take at least 15 minutes. You're going to write down things like laundry, taking the kids to practice, finish contract for Charlotte, write up a social media post for the week. Write a blog, go to the grocery store, go to the gym, meal prep, buy a gift for David's birthday, grab a screw set from the hardware store. Plan my week. You want to leave like an hour in there to plan your week too. Write down everything. And this is going to clean your brain up. Keep asking yourself, what else? What else? Until it's all dumped down on a piece of paper. So the third step that you want to take is then write down how long you think each task in number 2 is going to take you to complete. Do the best that you can. I know that not everyone knows how long it takes to do things, especially if you're doing them for the first time. I was meal prepping today and it took like 3 hours. I did not expect it to take that long. And so now I know that's what I need to bring into my calendar every single week, is I need to allow myself that time so that I can feel more relaxed when I meal prep. So another thing that you can do is also simply decide how much time you're willing to take on a task. That's going to shorten it dramatically. If you leave yourself an hour to do research on a project and you decide that that is the amount of research time you're going to do, you won't find yourself sitting in front of the computer for hours on end. So step 4, prioritize this list. You're going to write down way more than you can do in number 2, and that is okay. Now is your time to chop away. So I hereby grant you permission to cross out clean the garage if you don't feel like cleaning the garage, or whatever other thing is on your list that you don't want to do. Take out everything you simply want to do. It's okay. Step 5, ask yourself, what is going to get in your way, and then solve for it. That's where these problem solving skills come in. You have childcare issues this week. Who is going to watch your kids? Who do you have to talk to now? What kind of time do you have to set aside so that you can talk to that person to help you take care of your kids? Know on Tuesdays that your daughter likes to throw tantrums. Well, you need to find a solution for that. Maybe give yourself some buffer time so that you can deal with that. Everything that we often label as emergencies isn't necessarily an emergency if we can plan in advance. Now, if there's blood involved or there's something dire that's happening, then yes, of course, there is an emergency and you're going to have to tweak some things. If you implement the mindset that I talk about in step 2, this is not going to be a problem. All right, step 6. Put it on your calendar, and put these things on your calendar with self-compassion. Here's what I mean, okay? First off, let's talk about calendars here. It doesn't matter what kind of calendar you use. I love Google Calendar, but it doesn't really matter as long as it's all in one planner. And I mean it. Pick one planner and go with it. I know lawyers who want multiple planners, and that simply doesn't make sense when you have to keep your mind focused and organized for your entire week. You're going to drop something off. You're going to forget something. You're going to write it down in one calendar and you're going to miss it in the other. So it's really important that you follow this. So what I mean by calendar with compassion is this. If you resent your calendar, you're not going to stick to it. And I'm linking in the email to some podcast episodes where I talk about this so that you can help work through these things with your brain, these challenges with your brain. Plan lots of white space for you to do nothing or anything that you want. And if you know you like to relax on a Thursday or a Friday night because you're pooped, don't schedule back-to-back tasks to complete that night. Don't do your meal prepping that night, right? Of course, you're not going to do these things when you're just going to feel guilty afterwards that you didn't do them. So learn what you like and don't like and calendar with compassion. So item number 7, on Sunday, I want you to reevaluate and repeat. Each week, your calendar is going to become more manageable and you're going to get your time back. And when you get to Sunday, ask yourself, what worked during the week and what didn't work? Change your calendar accordingly. And then you just repeat steps 2 through 7 for your next week. So that's how you plan your week. That's all you have to do, okay? That is the plan. So this is what not to do. Number 1, don't multitask. What most people call multitasking is actually context switching. It takes brain energy to refocus from one task to another. And you know this because when you're deep in thought on a project and someone interrupts you, it takes a lot of time and energy to refocus. And sometimes you can't regain that focus. We don't get better at context switching. We just see it less when we're not paying attention. The second thing not to do, don't answer the phone or respond to emails in the middle of a project. This is context switching again. Now, I have a voicemail that says, look, I'm in court. Okay, I don't say look, but I say I'm in court on XYZ days, but I return phone calls on A and B days. Your phone call is important to me, so please know it's easier to contact me via email. And here's my email address. If your matter is urgent, please dial 0 and a receptionist will help you. And when you set up people's expectations, then they are less likely to call you multiple times and they will contact you how you want to be contacted. You can set up your email system the same way. So decide that your focus is important. Number 3, don't fly by the seat of your pants. A lot of lawyers think that if they jump into a project that it's going to go faster. If you think that, let me share this with you. Imagine yourself riding a bike to get to your destination. You're pedaling faster and faster and harder to get there quicker. You see a car up ahead going in the same direction as you are. And inside that car is a phone with a GPS system and lots of horsepower to get you moving where you want to go faster. But instead of stopping the bike and getting in the car, you decide to keep on pedaling because you've already come so far. Well, this makes 0 sense, but we do it all the time when we don't stop the bike and take the time to program the GPS. So before you start any project, make a plan about what you need to get done, prioritize those items, and then start your engines. All right, this is my favorite part. So let's talk about the garden. This is where the magic happens. Yeah, it is. Okay, so now you know the framework. You know the framework of how a week can look where you are focused on your priorities, and now you're learning the work to retrain your brain to make it happen. 1, write this in your journal every single day. Right. And I know a lot of you don't want to do a journaling practice. I resisted it for a long time too. I thought, really, how practical is a daily journaling practice? Let me tell you, it is essential if you want to retrain your brain. If you are looking to rewire your brain so you do things differently, journaling daily is the best, most efficient, most powerful way to do it. I don't know how else to promote writing in a journal every day except to tell you that I have seen huge shifts in a month period of writing in a journal where it has taken me a year to get to a similar place. So I want you to know writing in your journal every single day is incredibly important. It is essential. And I've actually set out what I think are the most important things to do so that you can begin using your journal to create what you want. So number 1, write in your journal every single day. This is what you'll write down. Ask yourself, what are the 3 most important tasks that you have planned today? Then ask, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being the least certain and 10 being the most certain, how certain are you that you will accomplish those tasks? Then I want you to ask yourself, why did you rate your certainty that number? If it's not a 10, ask yourself, Why not? What are you thinking? What thoughts are coming up for you that's preventing you from getting to that 10? Are you thinking things like, I don't have enough time? I might have some issues pop up. What are those issues? Like everything that's coming into your brain, I want you to write it down. Then ask yourself, what would you need to believe to be at a 10 in certainty that you will get those three things done? Now, if you're just starting this kind of work, it helps to imagine someone you admire who you know could get it done with like no problem. What would they be thinking? So, for example, someone like an Oprah, you know, she is getting so much done. Like, how is she doing it? What is she thinking in order to make that happen? What is going on in her brain? Really get in there and think about like if somebody else were to step into your shoes and get it done, what would they be thinking? All right. And then you're going to be asking yourself, how committed are you on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being the least committed and 10 being the most? How committed are you to getting those tasks completed? And why did you rate your commitment that number? If it's not a 10, ask yourself, why not? What are all the thoughts? What's happening? Okay. Now, what would you need to believe to make your commitment a 10? I want you to read that again, okay? What would you need to believe, not do more of, right? Like not physically doing more of or doing less of to make your commitment a 10? Like what would you have to think and feel in order for you to believe that you could make it happen, that you were 100% committed to getting those things done? Maybe you know that it is already done. Like, I know I can get that done. That is not a problem. Like, when I think that is not a problem, I feel certainty. I feel committed. I know I can make it happen. It's not a problem. It's done. It's happening. Okay. So, those are the kinds of thoughts you're going to be looking for. And the more you do this, the more you're going to start looking for those thoughts and retraining your brain to think those thoughts. So this is part 2 here. Okay, notice those thoughts that you're thinking on purpose. The ones that you've been thinking that have been running in the background are those thoughts that are on default. The ones when you're asking yourself on a scale from 1 to 10, like, why am I a 7 of certainty or a 7 of committed? Like, what thoughts am I thinking? Those are the thoughts that are running on default in the background, and those are the ones you really want to pay attention to because those are the ones you want to shift. So, part 1 helps us set the groundwork for this. Our brains have a lot of practice thinking thoughts. We have about 60,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are the same ones. Step 1 helps us see what we've been thinking on purpose, and then we're also developing new thoughts we want to believe. So, if you want to take this practice even a step further, what I do is on Sundays, I review my whole week and I see how my certainty and commitment to whatever my goal is that week has increased or maybe decreased, but usually it's increased. And why? What thoughts are getting me there? What are the thoughts that I'm seeing my brain on default more? What thoughts do I want to think more? So I'm really starting to notice what my brain is doing. Okay, that's what you can do here. When you begin noticing the thoughts you have on purpose, sometimes we're tempted to beat ourselves up because we think, well, we shouldn't be thinking these things. We should be thinking better thoughts. And here are some examples of thoughts that are not helpful and are preventing you from reducing your overwhelm, your stress, anxiety, and it's preventing you from getting clear on how you want to prioritize your time. These are thoughts like, I don't want to. I deserve a break. I should go clean or bake or go on social media or go check the fridge right now. I don't have enough time. I always have to, and it's not fair. Yes, some of them sound like a toddler, and I have them too sometimes. And that brings me to step number 3. Understand that your brain won't want to do what you told it to do on Sunday, and that is normal. Our brains are wired with the primal needs of survival. It's wired to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy. But building a business or staying on task isn't going to be pleasurable all the time. It's going to be hard. It's going to be emotionally painful sometimes. And it takes energy because your brain is having to use more energy to learn more habits to get out of what it's always been doing that is not working. So you might sit down on Sunday and you're not going to have any problem with part 1. And then you wake up Monday morning and you find yourself avoiding looking at your calendar. And this is totally unconscious. It's your brain conserving energy. The important thing to do here is just notice what your brain is doing, catch it in the act, and then consciously check your calendar and get back on task. But be sure you're doing this with number 4 in mind. Practice self compassion always. When you find yourself straying off task or skipping things on your calendar entirely, and you will, decide now that you will not beat yourself up for it. Most lawyers are perfectionists. If we don't get something 100% quote unquote right, we think the world is over. But whenever you don't do something, treat it like data. Ask yourself, well, why? Why did I decide not to do something? And did you have compassion for yourself when you planned your week on Sunday? Okay, that's the big question. When you are planning on Sunday, you have to keep in mind that compassion piece. If you don't, you're just going to resent your calendar and you're not going to want to do anything. Gardening is a work in progress, and so is your calendar. So you now have the foundation you need to move forward to create more time in your week and get more accomplished. And if you want to instill these habits and the mindset to make these concepts second nature, the first thing you can do is just really implement what I put here in this guide. Like, I really put a lot of thought on what helped create the biggest difference in my brain. And I created a process for you so that you could start seeing those thoughts faster and start shifting your thoughts faster. So really dig into that and make it a regular part of your day, and you'll start to see what's going on in your brain and know that it's always normal. Now, if you want some more help with this, I am here. That is why lawyers hire me. You can schedule a free strategy session at dinacataldo.com/strategy session and book now. Well, here's one of what my client Jessica, this is what she had to say about working with me, and it was really touching because I work specifically with people who have issues with calendars, and this is what she had to say, calendar issues, and this is what she had to say. When I started my business, I felt a bit defeated before I even got started. I felt derailed by outside circumstances. I also had a bit of a power struggle with my calendar because I work full time and I'm growing a business as well. And I didn't think I had enough time to do what I wanted to do. Dina helped me rule my calendar instead of letting my calendar rule me. I now approach my calendar with more authority and have more control over it. I began following through on my calendar and learned strategies to deal with those times when I didn't want to do what I placed on it. I began valuing the importance of each hour and each commitment I placed on the calendar. And that is how a business is built, 1 hour at a time. So I hope you take that to heart. I hope you use this training and you devour it, but then you implement it too. So I hope to see you soon. And I'm going to send you an email, and it's going to have multiple podcasts to help you further this work and get your brain thinking about how you can train your brain to create the habits that you need to be more successful in whatever area of your life or business you want to be more successful in. All right, take care.